got to refresh my memory here. Okay, one more time, okay. Hi, I'm Cleo Robinson, the author of Trails to and Tales of Sanderson, Texas. Welcome to my house, welcome to Omaha, Nebraska, and we're here to discuss my book and find out a little bit of what I'm all about. Well, I was born in a small town in Missouri called Ionia. Very small town. You'd have a hard time finding it on the map now. I was one of 3 kids. I had 2 older sisters. When I was born, they wanted me to be sent back and traded in for another girl because they figured boys were nothing but trouble. My dad was a carpenter. My mom was a housekeeper. She did some retail sales and ladies' wear. Shortly after I was born, we moved to Springfield, Missouri. That's where I went to school through college. And after college, I went into the Army and spent 14 plus years in the Army. And then I went into government employment and finished up with about 40 some years of military and government employees. Diane's a retired school teacher. She retired about the same year I did, in fact, just a few months later in 2006 or 2004. And she enjoyed teaching, and she taught here in Omaha in the Millard school system. And now we're retired. We do a little bit of traveling, not as much as we'd like. We take care of grandkids, and that's our life, basically. Well, the book's about a small town in Texas, Sanderson, Texas. It was, when I knew the town, a prosperous little town. It was a county seat of Terrell County. You could get just about anything you needed there except a dentist, and that's another story. But they had no hospital. You had to go about 60 miles down the road, or up the road, I should say, up to Fort Stockton for a hospital and some doctoring. There were a couple of osteopathic doctors, but no dentist in Sanderson, because Sanderson's water was naturally fluoridated, and there was no business for the dentist. So in Sanderson there was a hotel, and it was called the Terrell Hotel, and it had a cafe. The post office was located in it, a small grocery store, and of course a hotel. And people congregated there. If you were coming into town, you'd stop at the cafe and have a cup of coffee, talk to friends, and exchange stories and lies and information. So it was just a wealth of stories being passed back and forth, and people were having adventures that we heard about, and that's what got me going. Over the years, I've collected a lot of stories, had a few experiences, did things, and I just wanted to put them down on paper so they weren't lost forever. And Sanderson was the perfect spot to set this thing up. Some of the stories I actually witnessed, was involved in Texas. Some of them were secondhand. Some were told to me by my father over the years. He always had a bunch of stories to tell me, and he repeated them often. I should have taken notes, but I didn't. I think my favorite parts of this book involved Will Wilson, the owner of the R Bar R Ranch. He's based on a real person. and his adventures are real. He had an interesting experience with a mountain lion that caused his horse to rear up, and he came down very hard on the saddle and ended up in the doctor's office pretty badly bruised in a rather tender area of his anatomy. And he pulled some pretty weird things after that because he was on medication and was drinking a little beer on the side and ended up getting into a real pickle with a black cowboy in the local eating establishment, where he made a bet about something that he was supposed to lose but would have actually won. But you're going to have to read the book. I don't want to put this out too much and to get the story. And this is a real story, folks. Lou Smith was an institution in Sanderson. She ran the Turner Hotel Cafe. She was colorful, well-liked by everybody, and, of course, a waitress. And Molly, one day, stepped off a bus, broke, went into the hotel cafe, the Turner Cafe, ordered a cup of coffee, which she wasn't able to pay for. Lou sized up the situation, approached her, and engaged her in conversation, and found out her situation, and ended up buying her a wonderful breakfast and hiring her to be a waitress there at the hotel. The hotel had a spare room that Molly could stay in, and Lou hired her as a waitress. The Doorknob is a story about one of the Border Patrolmen who made a habit when he was getting dressed in the morning. Before he loaded his pistol, he would quick draw practice on the doorknob of the bathroom. He got a telephone call, broke his chain of concentration, and he had already loaded his pistol when he decided to take one more fast draw at the doorknob. He did, blew the doorknob to hell and back, so he had to replace the thing. In the book, his mother-in-law happened to be in the bathroom at the time. She was not injured, but it made her feel like it was time to go back home. Well, as we were talking about Molly a while, she and Greg got acquainted. They were both new in town. Greg was a border patrolman. They ended up getting married. The wedding took place in the Turner Hotel Cafe, and it was a big blast. It was a good wedding. Everybody in town came, and you wouldn't want to get near the punch bowl with a cigarette or you'd probably blow up the place because everybody had spiked it. But after a rather tumultuous romance, they had a wedding. Writing for me is more of a hobby than anything else. Just to feel like I would like to get some things down on paper forever. If I sat down and just said, I'm going to write the book, 2-3 months, but it took much longer because some days I would write nothing, other days I might write several hours. So 2 or 3 months if I wanted to really do a book. Setting out a particular time that I'm going to do it is my biggest challenge of writing a book. Setting aside the time. Otherwise, not a big deal. If I was to rewrite the book, I'd probably leave it just about the way it is. I might change a word here and there, try to get a better word. But no, I think I'd leave it alone because I beat myself to death trying to get it out the first time. If I had one thing I could change in my life, would have been my college major. I picked history to be a history teacher. That was a big mistake. I should have picked something I was more interested in, such as art. That was a mistake, picking history over art. I could have changed, but I didn't. That's the biggest mistake I think I've ever made in my life. If I was to go back, you would give myself advice when I was younger, would probably been concentrate better on my school studies. I have a lousy grade point average. I know, since I've written this book, there are several English teachers from college that are turning over their graves. So I wish I had prepared myself better to be a writer.
I hope you will keep on writing. You are a great storyteller. You have an amazing talent for entertaining people with your stories, which I think actually you got from your dad, because he was a good storyteller also. But you take it a step farther. You put it in writing so that people can enjoy those stories, and you're leaving something behind at some point in your life, which I don't like to think of. You're leaving a part of yourself for your entire family and others who have read your current books and who will read, hopefully, your future books. You know, you're one of the best men I've ever known. Your ethics are impeccable. Okay? Your sense of humor. Sometimes I think you should have been a stand-up comedian. But your sense of humor is wonderful. I can't live with people who are not. I can't be around people who do not have a sense of humor. But I just hope that in your heart that writing means as much to you as I think it does. And I hope that you continue to do this.
Well, it's been a good time being married to you. It was the luckiest day of my life was when I met you, and we went to the military ball together, and that started the whole thing off. And I've always been proud of you. You're a teacher, you're an Army wife, and that is a unique thing to be an Army wife. And you had a lot of influence on a lot of kids growing up as a teacher. So, and you're a good person. And you've raised a very talented daughter. And you're a great influence on a couple of grandkids. And I just wish you would take it a little easier and sit down more often and get your feet up. Otherwise, you're doing just great. My primary contact with Authors Press has been with Max Reed, mostly on the telephone, some emails, and I got a few telephone calls and other emails from other people from the Authors Press, and they've always been helpful and easy to work with. So far, it's been a good and interesting trip. And I'm really looking forward to going to Miami and seeing what we can do. I'd like to see my books take off like a rocket. I think they'd make great movies. I think they'd make a great TV series. And we just got to get them in the right hands of the right people. I want to tell you all, you can get this fantastic book at several locations. Amazon, we all know about Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Creative Books, Sweet A's, and Authors Press. Go out and buy some. Buy them for your friends, your neighbors, and all your relatives. Thank you very much. Again, this is Cleo W. Robinson Jr., the author of this book, Tales to and Tales of Sanderson, Texas. I want to thank you for your time and have a great day.